the future of technology and society with a lot of hilarity in a fun, funny, and super insightful conversation with the #1 technology analyst on planet Earth, Ray Wang. All right. Hey ho, let's go. Hello, my legendary friends, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Legends and Losers. We have a show for you today that in a lot of ways is about almost, if not everything that we're about. So we continue to hack the best minds in Silicon Valley. Today we've got Ray Wang, who is the #1 technology analyst in the world and the founder of Constellation Research. And we have a crazy conversation, a silly conversation, and a very forward-leaning conversation about technologies you need to pay attention to. And it's a lot of fun, and it's very insightful. Now, off the top, I want to remind you, I am on tour with our friends at NetSuite, the Next Ready Business Tour, September 20th in Denver, September 26th in Toronto, September 27th in beautiful New York, and November 9th in Miami. And we continue to pray for Florida, the Caribbean, and Texas. If you want your special VIP invitation to the Next Ready Business Tour, send email to blackhole@legendsandlosers.com, and we'll get you set up. These are late afternoon, early evening events. We get together, we have a couple of cocktails. I do talk about category design. Often I'm joined by a sports icon of one kind or another, like Bill Walton, who joined us in San Diego, and some legendary leaders from entrepreneurial companies who share their growth strategies and other good stuff, some yummy food, some tasty cocktails. So come out and see us, the Next Ready Business Tour, blackhole@legendsandlosers.com. Also want to thank Eddie Yoon. Eddie Yoon's a buddy of mine. He is the category design guru to the Fortune 500. He's the author of Super Consumers, one of the most important books written in the last several years, I think. And he's the founder of a consulting firm and think tank with a great name called Eddie Would Grow. And he's the star of episode 49 and 50 of Legends and Losers, where we talk about how you growth hack your way to leadership with category design, and a whole number of other amazing insights from Eddie. Anyway, here's what Eddie just did. Eddie, he writes for HBR, he writes for Inc., and I think others. He just wrote a spectacular post in Inc. magazine for Legends and Losers, the title of which says, "Adversity is the key to success. Here are 3 amazing stories to prove it." And he highlights Jeff Denham, the founder of Atira Systems, the legendary waterman, who was on episode 66. And he also highlights Judge Kelvin Filer from Compton, California, who was our guest on episode 62 for truly a mind-blowing Legends and Losers, one we're incredibly proud of. And so Eddie talks about things like this in the post. And Eddie, I can't thank you enough for your wonderful post, for your commitment to sharing your wisdom with the world, and for being my friend, and for helping us make Legends and Losers a smash hit show. So thank you so much, Eddie, and we'll put in the show notes a click through to the story, "Adversity is the Key to Success" in Inc. magazine. All right, my buddy Ray Wang. This guy's awesome. He's one of my favorite people. He's one of the smartest people I know, and he's one of the funnest people I know. He's the principal analyst, founder, and chairman of Silicon Valley's Constellation Research. He's the author of a great blog called A Software Insider's Point of View, and he is the author of Harvard Business Press's smash hit, Disrupting Digital Business. I quote him in virtually every speech I give, and he's done some great research. He's got some great insights, and he's a lot of fun. He's the host of Disrupt TV. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's on the interweb. And he's the winner of the Institute of Industry Analysts Analyst of the Year Award, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and that's why people call him the #1 analyst in the world. He's been in Harvard Business Review, the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNBC, and now Ray's on Legends and Losers. And I've been reading, you've been writing. So, I mean, you and your firm, it just seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm paying more attention, but are you guys getting more prolific on a wider range of shit?
We are. What we've been doing is we're thinking about the world as an AI-driven world. What happens, right? What happens in the future of work? What happens with customer experience? What happens when you have to make expert systems and decisions? Can you have explainable AI, right? Or explainable machine learning? And so we're trying to figure out how that affects what's happening around the world. And so everybody on the team is looking at AI, and you're seeing us write about all the different implications, from privacy and security to what's going on with, CXOs. What do they have to do? So,
And you got Elon Musk running around scaring the shit out of everybody right now on AI, right?
and his stock price too. What the hell? I mean, my stock is overvalued. Dude, don't tweet that. You're up there with, like, he's got a Trumpism on that puppy.
It's always interesting when a CEO says that, because of course it doesn't happen every day. It's a rarity. I think there was a time when Gates did it, if I'm not mistaken, but it's an always an interesting move.
We call it guilty Tourette's, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, what is your latest thinking? Where should my head be on AI right now?
Well, I think we look, the hottest thing we put out there was something called the 7 outcomes of AI. And when we think about the 7 outcomes, what we're talking about is the fact that we start out by saying, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Then we start wanting notifications and alerts, and, warn me when, I'm out of beer in the fridge. Right.
Please.
And then
please warn me way before I'm out of beer in the fridge.
And then we have recommendations like, hey, make a suggestion. Okay, well, tell me what kind of beer to get. I should order that. And then automate the process, because I don't want to think about that. When I'm out of beer, just fill it up. Right. You know what I like. And so that process we can be able to fake it for the last, 15, 20 years. Rules engines, workflows, complex event processing, policy, right? Triggers, like all these things, and listenings, right? So all that stuff we could fake. We can't do that anymore if we're trying to do it at 100 million interactions a second, right? 1 billion objects, right? At that scale, that's where the AI comes in. And so we start getting to things where we're trying to predict what happens next. And then ultimately, we're trying to get a level of prevention. And then at some point, we're doing situational awareness. Well, people who talk about AI keep talking about the math, the data, the algorithms, all that other stuff. The real thing is, like, what business outcomes you're trying to achieve, and then let's go figure out what the AI is supposed to do. And so this rainbow chart that I have, it seems to be resonating with folks. And what that really means is people are trying to figure out what do we do.
Am I wrong, or have I seen that flying around Twitter and LinkedIn?
I think so.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so the way we look at this is we're trying to figure out, hey, where can you use AI? And then the second thing we try to think about is AI and the ethical implications. And the problem with that is folks are running around saying, we have to think of a universal code of ethics. What happens to the machines kill us? Back to the Elon thing, right? Like, these machines are going to come and kill us, and we're going to program evil into our machines. And it's partially true, but the couple of things that you think about, we can't even agree on religions. We can't even agree on cultural norms, right? AI is going to have all these different flavors of ethics, right? So
does this just mean we should buy guns so we can shoot our computers?
No, we need electromagnetic discharges. We're going to need those. Like,
or the computers have lasers, and we got to go get like lasers.
No, we just want an EMF charge. Like, disrupt the whole thing. Boom, everything goes out like in the Matrix.
The house next door blew up, honey. Oh, fuck. They must be getting attacked by their computers, so they blew the fucking place up. Is that what's going to happen?
It might be. I just need an EMF charge. Shut down the computer so it doesn't come back alive. I'll be okay. No, or Terminator style. But no, the thing is that, the ethics work like this. Like, let's say 2 autonomous vehicles get into an accident, or an autonomous vehicle hits a person, right? What happens in Canada? Oh, okay. Culturally, it might be they exchange things. They say, oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. We'll put everything together.
In Canada, if the autonomous vehicle hits the person says, sorry.
Exactly.
That's what happens in Canada.
Well, or
right, hits that old joke.
Yeah.
Ever said thank you to a bank machine? You might just be a Canadian.
Well, and that's the cultural norm, right? If it was in Russia, what would happen? Everybody would have a different story, and a new video would emerge that showed you were right, right? Because everyone has those dash cams, right? So you get a different response. If it was in China, you hit a dog, what would happen? You'd be like, run that dog over 10 more times so it's dead. It's cheaper than having a dog that's disabled. So,
yeah, that's not heavy.
But you know that would happen because the judge would say you need to take care of the dog for the rest of their life. That could be millions of dollars. The algorithm is like, run that puppy over 3 times, it's dead. So
Excellent.
it's horrible. I mean, but that's the cultural thing, right? And the stereotype, of course. Please don't take those stereotypes that way. But the point being is like that's what people would expect, right? And is that one set of ethics? Is that multiple ethics? Is there one right way? We get into those kind of discussions.
And also, ethics change or evolve over time, obviously, right? And so we are comfortable, and I forget who said this, but it's not as if we get dropped into the future. So if you sort of think about if people are worried about, okay, what's AI going to be like in, I don't know, 20 years? It's not like we go from now to 20 years. We evolve there, right? And if you look at what you and I are comfortable with technologically today, if you were to take ourselves from 15 years ago and then just drop us into 2017, sure, we'd be freaked the fuck out. But that's not what happens, right? We individually and as a culture, as a society, and as a world evolve into the shit, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and you don't want to have an idiocracy moment either. When you wake up and you're like, no.
Yeah. Now, I guess you could argue, like, what if we don't evolve fast enough to, keep our hand on AI or to keep up with AI? What if it gets out in front of us?
That is one of the fears. Like, will we be outsmarted by the aliens? So I mean, by our machines and basically we'll
by
feel
the
like
aliens
by the aliens we created. So here's the thing. I wonder, right? Because I was watching The Matrix, and at the end of The Matrix, I realized, the good news is being human. Like, we write the rules, but we break the rules, right? And machines aren't really good at breaking rules. And I think we have hope in the fact that we can see between the lines, break the rules. And when you know how to do that, right, you're back in control. But I don't think that's going to be an easy thing for us to figure out. But we are going to evolve over time. And so the question we typically ask folks is, imagine a baby is born in the year 2100. What rights do they have, right? What's it going to be like? Right? What do they get on day one? Do they have privacy? Can they be disconnected? Can they, do they have to belong to something? Are thoughts being fed into their heads? Right?
You got to believe they're born with their genome mapped, and they know that. I mean, they just that probably happens before they're born, right?
I think so. I don't know, and that's the conversation that that's worth a brainstorm. You could get a bunch of smart people, hang out at the Flintstone house, and figure out what the hell's going on. So
enjoy some of the finer things that California has to enjoy. All right. Now, in no particular order, I got tons of other things I want to ask you about. What are your thoughts about video?
Well, what do you mean by video? Where do you want to go with it?
For example, last year, Zuckerberg came out and said within 5 years, 80% of the content on Facebook will be video. And so now that's 4 years into the future. My buddy Chris Brogan, who I believe
yeah, Chris
Brogan. I mean, he was on Legends and Losers a bit ago, and he said that there's 1 billion hours of video that goes up on YouTube alone every day.
Yep.
And we also know that many of us, not just millennials, want to consume video on handheld or maybe tablet type devices, and so. I guess there's an explosion of video, and an explosion of ways for users to experience video. And I'm curious what you're seeing, about all of that. Where does all that take us?
I think the novelty of video has worn off. And I think what's actually happening is, we people doing like, hey, watch this shot for like, who's the guy that actually put like a cam on like, I don't know. The point being is like, people were like watching like cams on like objects on their dogs and stuff. I mean, I think what is that? Video's got to be 30 seconds or less. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, the attention span, we're completely information overloaded, right? And then live is a different story.
How long is Disrupt TV?
We're an hour. We have 2 20-minute segments, right? We even think that's too long, right? But we're trying to go long format, and people laugh. That's long format, right? I mean, 30 seconds to get a point out, 3 minutes if you're trying to go a little bit deeper, and then like an hour of show if you're really interested in something, right?
So I'm doomed. Legends and Losers is fucking doomed. Because I don't know what our average would be. I mean, we have shows that are around an hour, but I mean, we have shows that are 2.5 hours. And, my thinking, look, in the beginning, what I heard, Ray, was, hey, the average commute time in America is, I don't know, 25 minutes or whatever the fuck it is. And so your podcast needs to be 22 minutes or however long the experts say it is, right?
Yep.
I'm like, I can't fucking say anything in 20 minutes. Like I'm just getting warmed up. And then I thought to myself, take advantage of the medium, which is, it can be free form. It can be an authentic dialogue, and it can be however long it's supposed to be. And so fuck it. But so anyway, that was my thinking. But you're saying I'm screwed.
Well, no. I mean, if you're trying to get a point across, now if you want to go deep, if you want to go free form, authenticity trumps time, right? I mean, if it's real, if it's raw, if people people are willing to watch it, right? They're gravitated by it. But if you're trying to get a message out for, marketing purposes, which is what most people are using video for, it's probably about 30 seconds tops. You got to get the point out. Right?
Yeah. So in a marketing context, yes, absolutely.
Now, for feature context, like if you got something live, I mean, if we think about like, what was that Jim Carrey movie where like, people were watching that all the time. What was that? The thing on the dome, the guys in the biodome.
Oh, the Truman Show.
Truman Show, exactly. I mean,
actually, it would probably be worth going back, because how old would that movie be?
I don't know. Let's go look at IMDb.
Could it be 20 years? For fuck's sakes.
That was an awesome movie. It kind of painted our world.
It would be worth going back and looking at today, because the truth is
1998, almost 20 years back.
Son of a beach.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
An insurance salesman adjuster discovers his entire life is actually a television show. I mean, how messed up was that? Was he in the Matrix and not really? You know what I'm saying? I was like, kind of.
I don't know. We may be in the fucking. The thing that's wild about that is he doesn't know that he's a TV show, right? He's just living his life. The interesting thing that's happened to us in the 20 years since then is we have all volunteered to make our life a digital Truman Show.
Exactly. Every day is a day in the Truman Show. It's something I put in the book, and I'm realizing that, we're all being captured at all points in time.
It's a very bizarre thing to think about, because if you'd gone back to, so what? How old is Facebook? Is it over?
Is it 15 years? I think it's 15 years old. When's the big party? Let's take a look.
Yeah, where's our invitation?
I
know Zuck's a big listener to Legends and Losers.
Facebook started 2004. So it's almost 15 years old. It's 13.
Yeah. So could you imagine in 2002 if the government had said, here's what we want you to do. We want you to put all this personal information online, like how old you are and where you went to school and where you worked and who you worked with and who your friends are and who your family is. And then we want you to post photos and videos of what you're doing all the fucking time.
And tell us everybody you know.
Yeah. And your relationship to them and where you met and how, and et cetera, right? If the government had said you had to do that, we would have said, hey, man, there would have been riots. It would have been 1980. Are you kidding? 1984? No fucking way, right?
Yeah.
And then we just did it.
Hey, I'm not on Facebook.
Are you really?
I'm not.
Wow.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter.
Are you on Instagram?
I have an account, but I don't use it. I mean, what I've done is
why not?
I'm actually a very private guy. So, I mean, my personal life, I keep very private. My public life, in terms of how I interact with folks, that's pretty open, right? But you never see anything about my kids. You never see anything about my wife. You never see anything about, what I'm doing on vacation. You'll never see that. You see what I eat. That's about as far as I get. Maybe a Yelp review. But I don't know. I just,
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I treat my Facebook page like it's a blog. I have no confusion about that there's any privacy associated with it or any setting that I could make private. But there's something very appealing about what you're doing. I would like that. I'm sort of in, and I don't know how I'd get out, but there's something very appealing about that.
But what I don't know is, like, you always wonder, like, is Facebook, Google, are they working closely with the government, right? What are we surveilling? What are we not surveilling? What data is being revealed, right? One day we discover that, the government ignores Google because they're providing great security. I mean, you never know. So
I think Putin probably is behind it all.
He's got Yandex. No, I'm just kidding.
Or Colin likes to call him Pootie. If you're listening, that's not my term. That's Colin's term. Oh, fuck. All right. And so if you sort of go to sort of interim or marketing AI in the current moment, I keep hearing about chatbots. We had Brian Kramer on, the Shareology genius, and he talked a lot about chatbots. And so where's your head at on chatbots?
Look, honestly, if I'm sitting in the office and the guy sitting next to me is like over here and he's yelling at chatbot, I'm like, dude, shut up. That's not going to happen. So, but what chatbots are is it's a nice expression of how you get into natural language processing, which is your ability to talk to something like Siri or Alexa or some androgynous name. But the point being is, like, you get there and you can command stuff, right? You can do sentiment, topologies. You can see how things react. You can use them as commands, but it's just another interface, right? One of the things about AI we look at, there's 7 things that are important in AI, right? One is massive amounts of data. The other one's having like lots of compute power. The other one's having really good math. The other one's having good industry expertise, the ability to crunch time. And if you think about it, AI is the new UX. So how we see, how we talk, how we engage, sentiment, all that stuff starts happening. And then, of course, the ability to know industry expertise and recommendation engines. The part around conversations, it's kind of cool. People are doing the demo. Alexa's actually not that smart. It's actually, if you've seen how many demos that have failed, and Alexa doesn't work all the time, but you know what? They're gathering information. Why? Okay, actually, hold on. Let me take it. Why is anyone so stupid to spend $40 to have a machine that listens in so you can spend more money with them and collect information about you? That's crazy.
I don't know. It's really trippy. And it freaks me out. I don't think I know. I couldn't have one in my house. And maybe one day I'll get comfortable with it. But
this is back to your point of Facebook. If the government would come to
you
you and
have
say,
one in your house?
No. If the government would come to you and say, we're going to put a listening device in your house to help you order the things that you need and just leave it on all the time so we can hear what you're talking about, would you do that and pay $40? I'm like, this is ridiculous.
No. And we had Morgan Wright, the security guru, on. And I asked him about this stuff. He didn't have that shit in his house either. And he started talking about not only, first of all, pick your company, Google, Amazon, whoever is listening to every fuck thing you say, because that's the point. It has to listen to every fuck thing you say, because if you say, hey, I want some, peanut butter, it needs to go do that for you, right? So, but by definition, am I retarded here? It's listening to everything you say.
For those who got Alexa at home, Alexa, buy 20,000 copies of Disrupting Digital Business. Alexa, check out. Thank you. Anyways, this is how you get a bestseller.
Oh, fuck. I think we probably did way too much of that last time, but I still think it's funny, which makes me, a 14-year-old boy. But I do want to go back, Ray. You said, or I thought you said, AI is the new UX. Did you say that?
It is. AI is the new UX.
So could you open that up for me? What do you mean by that?
Computer vision. I mean, have you seen the mind control kind of thing, devices that they have now where you can like spin a disc with your thoughts? They have those. You've got the ability to, computer vision can now pick out like images of where you are. Is that a male? Is that a female? Is that a dog? Is that a cat? It's emotion. I had a really cool, interesting lecture. You've probably seen Fei Lin. She's done a couple of times. She's a Stanford researcher now at Google. They figured out how to do motion and videos and sports, right? So we're getting close to all this.
And we had Eric Weinmeier on, the legendary extreme blind athlete. He summited Everest. He solo kayaked the Grand Canyon, and he's just even beyond those achievements, like he's just the person to talk to. That is incredible. Anyway, long story longer. There's some device that he can use that sees for him where he can actually see.
Wow.
Not with his eyes, but with his tongue. So the aha was, and I forget the name of the doctor, he says it on the episode. There was a doctor who figured out that when you go blind, it's your eyes, of course, that are gone. But you actually, in Eric's words, or maybe it's the doctor's words, you see with your brain, you see with your mind, not your eyes.
Yes, it's one sensor that's out.
Right. And so just because one sense is gone, it doesn't mean the brain's ability to, quote, see is gone. And he explains it, and I'm not going to try to because I'll get it I'll reveal how actually stupid I am. But there's some device he can use that sees for him, and the way he sees through this device is that the device essentially paints or draws what's happening on his fucking tongue.
Wow.
And so essentially it uses his tongue to replace his eyes, and he has the experience of seeing. He saw his children, in his words, for the first time with this device. It's mind-blowing.
Wow.
And so when you say AI is that not, now of course that's not AI, but it is using a incredible device as a new UX.
Oh yeah, it is. And you see things like Muse, right? These are the brain sensing headbands, or Neurosky, or Emotive. I mean, there's all these different things that are popping up where people.
What do you think about the fact that Google Glass is coming back? It seems like the glass holes return.
Hey,
You probably had one, didn't you? Of course you had one.
I know I didn't have one.
You didn't have one?
No, but someone on my team, David
I thought
Stanley,
they would have been falling over themselves to give you 100 of them.
No, that was Scoble.
That's funny.
No, but it's also it's the hearing, it's the sentiment, it's the listening, it's all that stuff that's picking up. I mean, if you really want a mass personalization at scale, that's where we would go with this, right? But I think that all that stuff. Actually, you know what it is? We're all building towards the Star Trek roadmap. That's what's going on, right? If there's one person
didn't Jobs say when he built the iPhone, he wanted a Star Trek communicator, that he just was trying to create the devices that he saw on TV as a boy, or didn't he say something like that? Am I?
I don't know, but I'd love to bring back Roddenberry. If you could bring back Roddenberry and say, what the hell was in your head at that point in time? That's some really cool stuff. So,
I as a boy, I just loved the original Star Trek. I mean, and I grew up in Montreal, Canada, and so William Shatner is from Montreal, and like the whole thing. And I still, when I watch those shows, I watch them on my Kindle when I travel to kind of. I like noise when I fall asleep, and so I'll put on an old episode of Star Trek and fall asleep.
No, it's awesome. So what's new with you? What are you up to? What's going on? How's the show been?
Well, right now we're probably a little over 50 dropped, and probably, I don't know if we have another 20 in the can. I'd have to look, but we're 6 to 8 weeks out. We'd have close to 20 in the can because we drop 2 a week. And most importantly, I get bombarded now with emails and tweets and LinkedIn's and from people all around the world who are digging the show.
Oh, I love it. I loved your one.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I loved your one with Eric Yuan on category design. That thing was awesome.
Isn't he insane?
The guy was freaking awesome. That was freaking awesome.
I think we should. Well, we're getting it transcribed, but we should have somebody count the number of times he says happy or happiness.
He was a happy puppy.
Right?
So,
that guy is everything I love about entrepreneurship in one dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad you got a kick out of it. And any others that tickled your ivories by chance?
That's the one that stuck out to me. I mean, there's been good ones, but he really stuck out. I was so. But you're doing some good stuff, right? You're on every single podcast. You're on single Stitcher. I mean, you're pushing it. So.
Well, I didn't write a book called Play Like You're a Puss.
So.
And so there's a part of me that understands there's. In everything, there's some category king economics at play. And so to make any kind of a difference, you got to have some kind of a footprint, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there, I have no desire to monetize it. So it's not like I just want to make a difference and have fun. And I can't believe these conversations I get to have. Like, it's ridiculous. We have people like, 4-star General Stanley McChrystal on the show, and we had his partner Chris Fussell on the show, and just a list of entrepreneurs that is just humbling. And we've had some incredible venture capitalists, and then we've had some people you might not expect to have on.
But Crystal's great. He's at Texas, right? University of Texas now. So
No, I think, well, he teaches at Yale with Fussell, if I'm not mistaken.
okay.
And I'm almost sure they're headquartered out of DC, but I could be wrong about that. But if I'm not mistaken, he did Legends and Losers from Yale.
Oh wow.
I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
Wow. You know what was good too? Matt Miller and Pat Grady. That was a good one. So
yeah, that's a great episode, man. Those guys are so cool. And you know, the thing about it, to get to the long form discussion, is where the fuck could you ever have heard anything like that before?
No. I mean, you've had great folks on. I mean, I can't remember. Like, you had a bunch of sports folks. You did a sports issue, right? You had like LeBron. You had LeBron. That's right. You had
No. I didn't have LeBron. We wrote a cheeky headline.
Ah, that's it. Okay, I thought
the headline
LeBron
said LeBron and Serena Williams have nothing on extreme athlete Eric Weinmeier.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, look, I remember I saw this thing like LeBron's on. I'm like, oh, how do you get LeBron? And so
that would be quite something.
If you're LeBron, you should get on Legends and Losers now.
Yeah, come on, LeBron. What's up?
Get with it.
I don't think he's coming. I frankly, I mean, I'm happy to have him, but I really would love Steph Curry.
Steph Curry would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, and actually, how can you not love Steve Kerr?
That's true.
He had, let me see if I can find this quote. He had this funny quote about them being compared to the Bulls. Do you remember this?
Which quote? Let's see.
It may be the greatest sports quote ever. Quote. It really might be the greatest thing that an athlete ever said. Okay, so I think I found it here. So this was from the 2016 season. And at the time, there was this asinine discussion going on about, would the 90s Bulls be able to beat the current Warriors or vice versa? And it was so asinine that, like, Scottie Pippen from the Bulls gets in on it and is saying, oh, whatever dumb thing he said about why the Bulls would beat him. And it was ridiculous. Anyway, so, of course, Steve Kerr was on those Bulls teams. And he's the coach of the fucking Warriors, right? So this is what he said. Quote, first of all, it's a really hard question to answer, not just because you're comparing eras, but also because it's literally tough for me to answer grammatically. I don't know who we is and who they are, said Kerr. Then he says, I'll just say, if the two teams played each other, there's no question that we could beat us and they could beat them.
Oh man!
Right? Awesome. How good is Steve Kerr?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then it's been a beautiful summer in Santa Cruz this summer. We've had some great swell, so there's been some really fun surf.
Oh wow!
I feel like I've been running an inn. I've had, it feels like every friend and relative I ever had has come to stay, particularly those with children. As a person who doesn't live with little people, when you have waves and waves of the fuckers coming at you all the time, even ones you love dearly and that you're the uncle and godfather of, which has absolutely been the case, it's a lot.
It's a lot. I don't know. Wow. How's the bed and breakfast business?
Yeah, exactly. But the fun thing, though, is I love this. I get to do Santa Cruz as a tourist every time. And so, for example, one of my favorite things, Ray, is to bring the kids to the boardwalk.
Oh, wow. That is nice. That is fun. We've taken our kids there.
And I love all the old school. Like, I don't like the new shit, like Paramount's great, super ding dong, all that. Fuck that. I like the old shit, right?
The wooden roller coasters.
Yes. And all the squirt gun games and the knock down the shit with the baseball and all of that stuff.
No, that's good. And is it Marianne's Ice Cream? That's the place down there?
Yeah.
That's on the way in. Not on the boardwalk, but on the way in.
Yeah, and I found out shit. I wish I could remember. Somebody sent me, this was a while ago, a picture of Marianne's Ice Cream made with lochhead vanilla. There's a company, I want to say they're in the Midwest of the U.S., named Lochhead Vanilla, and apparently they have the shit when it comes to vanilla, as I'd expect them to.
You know what's interesting? I remember doing a sales kickoff at Coconut Grove. I can't remember who it was. That's a really cool place to do it. So
yeah. So let's see. What are your latest thoughts on drones?
Oh, I mean, you see, like, did the UK just pass a law against drones and like certain heights or regulating the drones?
Yeah,
I love it. And we just got rid of that. Did the government just refunded everyone who filed money to have a permit for a drone?
Yeah,
we weren't like this. So I love the drones. I mean, Chris Anderson and all the stuff that they're doing there. I mean, it's awesome. And the thing with drones, like, you just remember the day that you saw the Apple, the spaceship, someone took the drone to the spaceship and the video of what was going on over there. I mean, that just pretty much symbolized everything. I was like, hey, this thing is, drone delivery, drone pictures. And you're like, holy shit, I got to cover my house. People are going to start looking at it.
And actually, there was a drone that flew over our house a little while ago, and I gave them the.
That's what a BB gun's for.
Let me say, I made it very clear to them that they should get the fuck off our property, and they did. But so afterwards, I started Googling around, like, what's the best way to deal with these? And you know, the idea I like the best that I found online?
Yeah.
A T-shirt gun.
Oh, perfect.
Because if you think about a T-shirt gun, right, that you would use at a football game or a basketball game or whatever, right, that can get like way far up into the stands, right? That thing shoots with some muscle, right? But it's not going to hurt anyone, but it will break the fucking drone.
Well, apparently,
so there's not been one around the neighborhood since then. But if they start flying all over the place, I'm going to get a very high-powered T-shirt gun and really have a good time.
Well, apparently I looked into this some time back as well. So the best solution to take down a drone is one of those net shooting bazookas.
Oh, that might be more fun than a T-shirt.
There's a company called OpenWorks Engineering, and they basically created this thing where you can like shoot it like a bazooka. You take the drone and you can shoot it down, but it's about 350 feet you can take this thing out from, right?
I like that a lot. And it's way better than some that I've read online who recommend just taking out an AR-15 and blowing it out of the sky. That terrifies me.
But you technically can't shoot a drone down. It's like taking down an airliner. The FAA will get on you, and you can't jam them because the FCC will come after you. So
So in other words, if you were trying to get rid of a drone over your house, you could have the FAA and the FCC coming after you at the same time.
Yes, that's why you can't do that. So,
wow.
Now, here's the other thing, though. If you use a jammer, though, most drones
if you were a drug dealer, you'd have the DEA after you.
True.
and if I
was illegal, ICE would be coming. So
you would have ICE coming after you. This is beginning to sound like an Eminem song.
So actually, you know what? The most interesting thing I did actually in the last week, now that you mentioned it, I was at a DJ Swazi event with Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick at the Public Hotel in New York 2 Thursdays ago with my friend Miguel Gamino, the CTO of New York.
Wow, the CTO of New York. Wow, that sounds like quite a cast of characters to be hanging out with.
And the CEO of Bally's, the shoe company. It was his event.
Wow, he's got a lot of cred.
He was trying to go authentic.
He's got a lot of cred with some, I don't know, what do you call people who are, in the parlance of our times, legit?
They were legit.
So how far are we from, to get back to your example a little bit ago, a smart fridge that goes, okay, we are out of Stone IPA here, or we're down to our last couple. And then that fires up my Amazon, which then says great. And then that fires up my Amazon drone delivery, which flies to my house and brings a case of Stone IPA to my house. What year does that happen in, right?
It can happen as soon as next year.
Do you think it could happen next year?
It is. We see some really cool IoT projects, right, where they're doing vendor managed inventory at the consumer level. And I'll give you a simple example. We gave a speech at the Georgia Pacific Brand Summit about 2 years ago. And someone, they sold toilet paper, right? In all intentions, they sold toilet paper. So at the end of the
Running
speech,
out of toilet paper is a crisis.
it's a crisis, right? So someone comes up to me and says, you do the keynote, you hope for some great questions. And someone goes up to me and says, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we sell the 20 big box retailers. I'm like, okay, that's true. And he's like, why the hell do we care about this? And I said to him, look, imagine if you took the order for toilet paper, you're in a family of 5, you go through like 6 rolls a week. And I said, look, I'll take your toilet paper. You tell me how much toilet paper you have. Every week, I'm going to send something back to you. Or you put a sensor, right? You're out of toilet paper, right? I know how much you use. I send you a toilet roll every single week. You don't have to sell at the big box stores. You turn the big box stores into a
Say
DC.
toilet paper one more time.
Toilet paper. So you get your quilted northern. You get your quilted northern.
Oh, you're killing me.
Hey, where are you sitting? You get your quilted northern. You get your quilted northern. And boom, right? You don't ever have to deal with retail again. You don't have to deal with MDF. You don't have to say, hey, I want my toilet paper sitting in this front aisle.
Ray, do you think this is going to be a real offering that you and I, a real service that you and I can use within the next year or so?
I think things like this are going to happen. They basically send me toilet paper. It's like the Trunk Club, right? For toilet paper. It's like Dollar Shave Club for toilet paper.
Yeah, but it's based on some IoT device picking up that it's time to reorder, right? So it's not based on a subscription.
Vendor managed inventory would be better. So say, hey, you're out.
Right.
So your shelf is out of toilet paper, or you're out of cereal, or you're out of beer, or you're running low on milk. All that stuff can happen. Some of the innovation labs for some of the fridge companies I can't talk about. The appliance makers are already looking at that. Now, are people going to do it? That's a different question.
Right.
But it'd be Alexa.
But you think it'll be available to use as a service within the next year or so?
Within the next year or so, you'll see stuff like that pop up.
And
I don't think it's going to happen in the U.S. first. It might happen in Japan or Korea, but it's going to happen.
Interesting. Now, as I sort of flip my brain to the enterprise side, for years we've talked about sort of the synchronization of quote unquote value chains or supply chains, right?
Yep.
And of course we've been moving further and further to it. And so, Procter and Gamble knows when inventories are getting low at certain Walmarts, and there's been that happening, and intelligence now getting built into it, and IoT supposedly, given we can't say supposedly anymore, so supposedly, makes that integration, that synchronization tighter. And so, as you think about that concept, do you see, in a breakthrough in, for lack of a better term, that concept in the enterprise because of all of this technology?
I do. I think what's happening is the sensors are getting better. They're able to do more things. The cost of sensors are coming down. And what people are able to do is actually create better demand signals, right? The demand signals are coming from not just the sensors, but also the actions or choices you take. And that drives that. So I can take a simple one, right? I use this example a lot, but let's say you get into the elevator lobby of a skyscraper, right? And it sees you, 27-point facial scan, gait analysis. Hey, it looks like Chris Lochhead. Perfect. All right. So, hey, send all the elevators down. He's on the 15th floor. We know that. Your phone shows up, says, hey, are you on the 15th floor? Would you like to go there? Something in your head goes, hey, would you like to go to the 15th floor? The screen says, would you like to go to the 15th floor? Okay, perfect. Right. But wait, your boss, he or she's up on the 20th floor and says, hey, would you like to meet? You've been trying to meet with him or her for the last 15 days. There's a 30-minute window. Would you like to go to the 25th floor? That's got a 70% probability you'll take it. The first one had a 90% probability you'll take it. And dude, there are donuts on the 10th floor. What are you going to do? That's where we're headed.
It's time to eat the donuts.
Eat the donuts.
Eat the donuts.
Bring the donuts to your boss. Bring the donuts to your boss.
Yeah, we can eat the bone. Yes, that's the gentlemanly thing to do, is to eat donuts with your boss.
So,
yeah.
But you get the idea.
How far are we from that?
That's about 10 years out. So the networking, the edge computing that's required, the facial recognition, processing, all that.
All of it scares the shit out of me.
Go to a smart city in Dubai or India, or China. I think that's where they're headed in the next 10 years.
Do you drive a Tesla?
I got two.
Yeah, I figured as much. So I test drove one because my wife wanted a new SUV because we had one of those illegal bastard douchebag asshole VW fucking Turags. I can't. Those guys are unbelievable. I can't believe those guys are not going to go to jail for the rest of their lives. They did it
What,
knowingly. I think our vehicle was puking 40x what it was supposed to. It was something like that.
you mean you had a TDI?
Yes,
Ah,
the damn bastards. Unbelievable. I'm
if the
hoping.
European Union would have taken as much pressure as they did to Google or Microsoft, yeah, they would have gone to jail.
I think they should have gone to jail. Unbelievable. Anyway, long story, way longer. So we went and test drove all these SUVs, and of course, we test drove the Tesla,
Ah,
and I just couldn't get there from here, man. It was like driving a fucking iPhone.
did you like the?
It was just too Jetson-y, man. It was just I must not be an early adopter of that shit. I love what they're doing and all that, and so does Carrie.
Dude, you're an engine guy. You're an engine guy. You love to hear the motor.
Yeah, I do, man. I have a Shelby Cobra Mustang. You can hear the fucking engine. Yeah, there's like a vice president of engine sound at Shelby.
Do you have a Ducati?
No, I'm not a motorcycle guy because you get to a place in your life where you stop trying to kill yourself and you start trying to.
You don't want to be you don't want to be an organ donor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to increase the likelihood I'm alive for longer, not decrease it. Generally speaking.
So, well, no. Yeah,
Hey, so
no.
what do you think?
So what'd you end up buying? What'd you get? What'd you getting?
Oh, so we got a Range Rover, a diesel Range Rover,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and man, you know what we call it?
No.
Because all our cars have nicknames, and we call it the Butter Bomb.
The Butter Bomb. What'd you get? An HSC TD6?
It's a diesel,
Uh-huh.
and it's the fucking ding dong one. It's the big ding dong one.
254 horsepower one, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that sounds right. It's a turbo diesel.
It's the TD6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not a high performance car, but it does fucking go, man. And it's got a sport mode. When you put it into sport mode, it really gets sporty. But it's like I've never driven anything like it. It's buttery. And here's this thing makes you want to drive. Like you chill your nuts out in this car. Like in my Shelby, I want to like, invade Nevada. Like I want to go hit things and shit. Like it brings out the total kind of meat eating. That part of
Testosterone
it. Yeah,
induced,
you're
kind
just.
of like
It's hard to chill your nuts in the Shelby. Let me say that way. But in the Butter Bomb, you're very relaxed. And it's got a seat warmer and a chiller, so it literally chills your nuts.
So taking a ride to the countryside, pull up to the Plume Horse, pop out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's more like a ride down, East Cliff or West Cliff, or I like to drive the Butter Bomb near the ocean. That's that, and then you put the nut chiller on the seat, and then you just chill yourself right out from tip to toe.
We're heading to the country on a seaside drive. Okay.
Yeah, and then when you have to take the thing over 17, which as you know is a twisty, and it fucking, man, does it ever go, and people get out of your fucking way too.
Hey,
and it's got paddles on it, right? So you can downshift it and shit. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's when the bomb comes out in the Butter Bomb.
Oh man!
And Carrie's teeny weeny, and so there's this little gal in this.
Oh, she's driving it.
It's hers.
Oh wow! Okay, so that visual is very interesting, right?
Yeah, no, she's 5 feet tall, man.
The contrast is awesome.
She's in the Butter Bomb. Yeah, no, this is hers. No, this is. Yeah, but the Tesla was too space agey, man. I couldn't get this.
So do you like the doors? Don't you like the doors?
It was all too much for me. Now, do you have the SUV?
I do. I have the X and the S. So
what's I don't know what that is. So
the X is the SUV and
Yeah.
S is the sedan. So
yeah. Awesome. And how do you like them?
Well, I mean, we've got 39 solar panels on our house, right? So we're setting back 1 megawatt every quarter of power. We don't use that much power. So the beauty of it is, like, I don't pay for power. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean,
Yeah, I often think these people who think they're doing a good thing for the environment when they have a Tesla and they burn coal to charge it are like, really? You know, you're a hypocrite. I mean, with all due respect, or with no due respect, you're a fucking hypocrite if you have a Tesla and you don't have panels on your house.
You know, I actually think Elon is probably the biggest. He's probably the biggest shyster ever. I mean, he figured out how to get the government to sell him a plant for cheap, how to get all the tax incentives to basically subsidize everything, to pull this whole thing together. I give him a lot of credit, right? He knows how to grab
because he's
public
saving
money.
the world, right?
He's saving the world. We're going to give him public money, but it's ridiculous. You give a $10,000 federal tax credit to people who can afford a Tesla. It's freaking ridiculous. They should have bought the car anyways, right?
Yeah.
Then you get the carpool lane.
It's not like you're buying a Prius.
This doesn't make sense, all right?
Hey, what's up with the Prius?
I don't know. It's on fire, though. They're still selling well.
No, I should be more clear. What's up with Prius drivers?
Oh, they suck. They're
Driving
on the freaking left lane. Who the
45
hell?
miles an hour.
If you're on 280 on the left lane, it's a Prius that's holding you back.
Why is it always a Prius going 50 miles an hour in the passing lane, in the fast lane? Why don't I don't know if it's all America. Why don't Californians know this? To get out of the fucking passing lane. Why don't they fucking know this?
They do on the peninsula. They do on the peninsula. They don't on the East Bay. On the East Bay, I cannot figure it out. The East Bay is like on 880.
They sure as fuck don't on 17.
And 17 they don't.
Although I'll tell you, when I come up behind them in the fucking Shelby, they get out of the way. I would say it's probably 70% of the time.
In LA, it's the same thing. LA, East Bay, people love to leave a 3-car gap and go 55 miles an hour on the left lane. You idiots, move.
If I was governor of California or president of the United States, the first thing I would do, there would be a law. And if you did that, you would get a $25,000 fine and 6 years in jail.
I wish people would just get off the freaking lane. I have a whole blog on that, actually.
Do you? Please send it to me.
I'm trying to find it now.
No. As a matter of fact, here's how crazy this makes me. This is not a pet peeve. This makes me absolutely crazy. I have been trying to find, and if you know this person, I will love you even more than I do, which is hard to believe. But anyway, I am trying to find like a psychologist or a sociologist or a freakonomist who has studied why the fuck people do this and what can be done about it. I want to solve this as a problem. Okay, here it is. How to drive the SV Life.
I was so pissed.
Right.
When I
yes.
put a blog on this thing.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, figure out how to drive.
I love it. Years ago, I used to write for CBSNews.com. When Dan Farber was there, he let me write whatever the hell I wanted, and it was crazy. And so I wrote a very what I tried to make a sort of satirical, humorous plea for the creation of American Autobahns because of exactly this. 280
was supposed to be the Autobahn. If you go back and look at the history, I mean, I like Reagan, but Reagan killed it. Like, he killed it. This is supposed to be the Autobahn. So look at this. Pass or speed on the left lane or get off it, right?
Yes.
Let others lead if you are moving slower.
Yes. If there is somebody less than a car length behind you in the left-hand lane, get the fuck out of the left-hand lane.
Get off the lane. Let people go.
Why don't Californians know this?
And then keep your fellow drivers informed of speed traps. If you see one, flash the other.
Flash. We do this, where I grew up in Montreal, Canada, all throughout Quebec, and I don't know if it's
all the northeast as well.
Yeah, we fucking flash, man.
You flash. You tell people when the cops coming. Well, there's an urban myth that when you flash, it's a gang member and they'll shoot you. That's what they did, but that's not true, right?
What? I never heard that.
Yeah, there's an urban legend that in the California that if you flash your lights and you're not on the same team, people will shoot you. Someone started that rumor to keep people from telling where the cops are. But
Oh,
keep your fellow drivers informed of
no,
speed traps.
I can remember my grandfather, my mother, my father, like everybody. If you were Fonzie on the road, you fucking flashed.
Yeah. Oh, I can't spell brakes, but tap the brakes a few times if you're passing a speed trap. It's so people know. And the best thing you can do is call in a 911 when you see an emergency. That's one less officer on a speed trap, right? Just call them in. Be a good Samaritan, right?
Now, you're not suggesting people make up emergencies,
No,
are you?
no. They're not making an emergency. But as soon as you see them on the side of the road, call it in. That takes one less officer off the road. Now, the good news about California is there's really less cops for people. If you think about it. Like on the East Coast, you'd be flagged all the time. So
Yeah, and actually, interestingly enough, right? I can't remember. This is going to sound crazy, but I can't remember the last time I got a speeding ticket, and I get pulled over once a year, but they don't write me tickets.
What do they do?
Well, here's what happens. I don't fucking lie. So, and the first thing I do, I pull over where they want me to.
I do too.
I put my hands like this.
Yep, so they can see them.
On top of the steering wheel, and I leave them there. I don't get my driver's license. I don't do shit. I put down the window. Oh, and I turn the engine off.
Yep.
So when you comply, when you submit, they chill their nuts right out. And I don't want the guy or the gal with the gun to be twitchy. I want to signal immediately. I am not your problem. You know what? I don't even get mad anymore. Look at myself or the cop or any. As a younger man, no. Fuck it, I'm getting a ticket. Great. There's
I chalk it to a business expense.
Right. So I sit there like that. Yeah. It's a tax.
It's cost of doing business.
It's a cost of fucking doing right. And then as soon as she comes up, I just say, good afternoon, officer. And they normally ask the same question, which is, do you know why I pulled you over? And I said, well, I'm pretty sure I do, officer. If I'm not mistaken, I was probably doing 90 in a 65. And actually, the last time this happened to me was in San Francisco, and I was doing 40 in a 25. I was trying to make a light and get the hell out, get out onto the highway. And I didn't realize it was a 25. And I just saw, I had that, feeling like, oh, this thing's going to go yellow and I gotta move.
6th Street. If you don't move 45, you can't hit all the lights.
And the guy pulled me over. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't know. I'm just hypothetically telling
you. A friend of mine told me. And so I got pulled over by this motorcycle cop in San Francisco, and I did exactly that. And good afternoon, officer. And he actually asked me, do you know what the speed limit is here? And I said, officer, I'm sorry, I don't. Is it 35? And he said, no, it's 25. And I said, okay. And then he just said, listen, slow it down, take it easy, and have a good afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't always get that, but that's
look, I have gotten tickets for sure. It doesn't always work, but when you immediately submit, you make your hands visible, and I just very politely say, good afternoon, officer or deputy. Yeah.
I will, if you ever get a ticket, I got the best lawyer for tickets. She is awesome.
Yeah.
I won't say her name so she gets flooded. Actually, I could. Actually, whatever. This woman is awesome. Jacqueline Bentley. She's probably the best DMV lawyer, ticket lawyer I've ever met. She's like in San Jose. So I'll get you a number.
That's an important thing to have. Yes, so, I need to know Jacqueline because that will come in handy.
She is one of the best, honestly. And I hate to say this, I might be one of her best customers.
Did you know Mike Homer, Ray?
Yes.
So did you ever know about his philosophy on this stuff?
No.
So, Homer just thought that his time was worth more than anything else. And, I'm so glad he thought that way because was he barely even 50 when he passed? I mean, fucking
he was living on borrowed time.
Because I spent a lot of time with Homer because the first time I attempted to retire was 2001. And he had retired. He was done at. He had obviously the big outcome as the CMO of Netscape,
Yeah.
And then
But
he
he
had
was
done,
the advisor to Scully. So
yeah. And then I thought he did one other thing after that. Why am I blanking on what that thing was? Anyway, we were both off at the same time. And so,
Kontiki and Verisign, right?
yeah, well, Kontiki, he was born in that time. And he and I were hanging out together all the time
Tell me. Who's
as
Tell
he
Me?
was.
Did you do something with Tell Me?
Yeah, he was
With
he
the
was either
Partovi
on the
brothers?
board or an advisor to Kontiki. You know, he was on the board of Tell Me.
Yeah, Tell Me.
He helped to do the category design for Tell Me.
Yeah, yeah. Remember with the Partovi brothers,
Yeah,
Alex and Hadi, right? Tell me, 100. Tell me. That was pretty awesome.
and they invented the DVR category
And TiVo, he did TiVo.
So
So
what did I say?
Tell Me
Yeah,
networks.
Tell Me. I meant TiVo. Well,
TiVo.
he was on with Tell Me, but he was also on the board from I think pretty much the beginning at TiVo.
Yep.
And yeah, and so he was part of creating DVR, and their branding and all that shit was so great. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael Cronin was the guy. Yeah, I'm almost positive Cronin was the naming expert, and his wife Karen Hibben.
Did he come with it?
I don't know if Karen and Michael came up with I can't do it as well as you can, but I think they named it. And yeah. Anyway, why the fuck was I talking about Homer?
Borrowed time.
Oh, so yeah,
and
driving.
his time is more important than anyone else's.
So he would drive in the diamond lane. He would fucking speed in the diamond lane. He didn't give a fuck, and if they pulled him over. They pulled him over.
Well, my philosophy is a $271 pass, right? And so 1 out of maybe 100 instances, you'll get pulled over on a diamond lane. So it's actually not a bad deal.
Yeah, so that's what Homer thought, and he was busy, and so.
Wait, you ever hear this story? I don't know if it's an urban myth or if it's real, but there's this time when Larry Ellison was speeding on 101, or something happened. Do you hear this story?
Well, not only have I heard the story, I know it's true. Because I heard it from Larry's lawyer who got his ass out of the problem.
With the helicopter and helicopter him out?
Well, I didn't hear the helicopter part.
Okay, so I don't know what's embellished or
okay,
what's
so
not
what did
embellished.
you hear? I'll tell you what I think I heard. It was
Okay.
probably 20 years ago, but.
We heard Larry was speeding and the cops are following him and he's in a hurry to get somewhere. And like literally as he's going down, these cops are chasing him down. And basically, apparently, and this is the part where I'm not sure, apparently Benioff was with him. A helicopter comes down, picks him up, he takes off, and Benioff like talks to the officers. Is that true? I don't know. I'd love to have this conversation with Mark to see what was true. These urban legends are like hilarious.
Well, that's so great because, look, it's been a while. And so I apologize for my what potentially here is a slightly incorrect backward-looking statement, but I'm pretty sure this is the story that I remember. So the original general counsel at Oracle is a guy named Ray Ocampo.
Yeah.
And Ray is a fucking legend. Actually, I gotta find him. I had the biggest man crush on Ray Ocampo. He's very, very zen. Very mellow, and he has almost a Yoda-like vibe to him. And he's a ferocious warrior in his mind, because if you remember, particularly in the early days, I think they still do, but they really did in the old days, Larry wanted to use the law as a way to beat the shit out of competitors, right? So he would sue them strategically, and he would do things to get them to sue him. And he thought of the law very differently, best I could tell. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And so Ray was his general counsel. So the story I remember is Larry's in one of his fast cars. The cops are following him. He's got to go to a meeting, and he pulls into his spot at Oracle. And he puts up the windows and locks the car and sits there and calls Ray. And Ray comes down, introduces himself. Larry gets out of the car so he can make the meeting, and Ray deals with the cops. That's the story that I remember.
It's been embellished.
Well, look, it's been a lot of scotches and,
it's been so
a couple other things since then. So I may not be remembering it right, but in my mind, that's exactly right.
I bet you that was the original story. And what I've heard is so embellished
Well, the Benioff part and the helicopter, that's good. It's like, and then there was Benioff, and then they got into a helicopter. Yeah.
I'm sure maybe Benioff embellished it. I don't know.
and then Susan Sarandon was there, and the Ramones. It was awesome. They flew to CBGB's. So I got to ask you, what do you think about Amazon Whole Foods?
I think it's a tough one, right? One of my friends, I won't name who, he said in the past that there's no company that's been able to pull off omnichannel, right? There's been about $1 trillion. He says $1 trillion has been lost by companies trying to go omnichannel. So $1 trillion of market cap. That's freaking crazy.
Holy fuck.
So I don't know, but I think that the data, I mean, if they're trying to use Whole Foods for the data for a certain segment, it might be interesting. If they really want to get into grocery, I can think of better things to do besides grocery. I mean, they're better off going to pharmaceuticals. They're better going off to industrial.
Everybody
equipment.
Loves a little pharmaceuticals.
Well, hydroponics are good too. But the thing is, but I think
so. You don't like
different.
It? Interesting.
I don't like it, but I don't know why they're doing it, right? Other than
because I like it. I think it's cool because it's two category kings.
They could do Trader Joe's and have been better off. It would have been cheaper.
I don't know if Trader Joe's would have been big enough for them.
It's true.
I don't know how many locations. Here, let's see if we can figure this out.
Yeah, that's
Trader Joe's. Called
the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Here, you do Trader Joe's. I'll do Whole Foods.
All right, I'll tell you how many stores. 465 stores nationwide in 41 states.
Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Way more than I would have thought. Why am I not finding this? Probably because I don't know how to use Google. Whole Foods number of stores.
466 stores. They're the same size in terms of stores.
Wow.
That's why Trader Joe's doing a better deal. People like
you're so much smarter than me all the time. It's terrible.
No, but they're about the same, right? But Trader Joe's, people like them better, right? Whole Foods is a whole paycheck,
Yeah, whole paycheck is what we call it, or whole check. But I do like it. It's two category kings coming together, and I think of course they're going to try and reimagine the hybrid experience, so to speak, or omni-channel experience. I think it's interesting.
I think what's more interesting is the revelation that the Postal Service is subsidizing Amazon big time.
What? Did I miss something?
Well, it turns out that someone did an analysis on Amazon, and I'll look this up, Amazon and USPS. Basically, it turns out that the Postal Service is getting Amazon's getting a huge subsidy from the Postal Service.
How?
Because the Postal Service is running a loss. So this is July 16, 2017 in Fortune. And someone did a calculation in the Wall Street Journal that basically USPS is subsidized they're subsidizing it. So,
because their prices are too low.
Let's see. Because they don't cover the infrastructure costs.
Yeah, that you're saying that the post office should be charging more.
They should be charging way more.
And why aren't they?
Don't know, because they just need money. They're hurting for dollars. So,
but are they? I mean, I was about to say they can't be stupid, but I don't know. I don't want to. Maybe they can. I don't know. But
basically, each box should cost $1.46 more to deliver.
But why would they do it? Would they be afraid Amazon would take the business to somewhere else? I mean, who can do it more cheaply than the post office at that scale?
Well, I don't know what happened, but they basically set a cost structure that didn't keep up with the percentage of volume.
Wow.
And
and for some reason, they don't want to raise prices.
Well, the law also let them share infrastructure costs at 5.5%. It just says, but the boxes are now 25% of the Postal Service revenue. So Amazon is now 25% of the Postal Service revenue.
Wow.
Right. You see them on Sundays, right? I always do this in keynotes. Like, so who does the Postal Service deliver on Sunday? And people are like, no, they don't do that. And I'm like, okay. And I always say, hey, for the people who are out there who know that they deliver on Sunday, what are they delivering? And everyone says Amazon. Right?
Yeah, of course. I remember the first time it happened it happened at our house. It was very trippy.
And they're separate. They're different routes too. I mean, these guys show up in different types of trucks. I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing their own delivery now. Amazon's committed to 100 delivery centers in North America.
Yeah, I saw that. What do you think the thinking is there?
their biggest cost, second biggest cost is shipping. They're going to take
Yeah.
everyone else out. But while they're doing it, they're learning from everybody else, and then they're going to take over their business. They're smart like that. But here's the thing: we got all these companies that are doing great that aren't making any money, destroying all the people that actually are making money or trying to make money doing real things. So it's going to be interesting to see the backlash. So.
Now, also got to ask you, what do you think about blockchain these days?
Blockchain. So if we get beyond the hype, there are people doing some cool stuff. There's a guy named Phil Kamani. He's at University of Texas. He figured out how to get the blockchain for student record. So the classes you take, the courses, the skills, that becomes yours, and you can reveal what you want to see. So it's definitely some cool stuff at University of Texas.
It becomes like a living
transcript.
Yeah. And I assume you could do the same thing with the medical records, right?
And there's someone trying to do that with the medical records.
Is that the first place everybody went after that? Is that, yeah.
Yeah, I think some folks have succeeded doing that. And of course, there's all these different consortiums, right? You saw the financial services ones that are going out. So I think blockchain, there's a lot of hype around it at the moment. Like blockchain, like Bitcoin, probably not going to happen. Blockchain that's centralized.
You don't think Bitcoin happens?
Blockchain like Bitcoin is scary to governments, and the governments are going to keep trying to push against it. Right. Because what they don't want is anonymous transactions. They don't want people to have the freedom to do what they want to do. They don't want to be taken away from the currency manipulation that we do today.
But this is one of those, what's your what the definition of is, can they really regulate what for all intents and purposes is the creation of currency when in point of fact, hundreds, maybe even thousands of companies create their own currency already?
They don't want others to create currency because, take the US, for example. We're like the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, right? We convince everyone else to do direct foreign investment, buy our bonds, so we can spend like drunken sailors, right? So we got this awesome Ponzi scheme going on. And the only reason people invest in us is because we're growing faster than everywhere else. And if we stop doing that, people wouldn't put their money with us. Right? That's the simple example on the macroeconomic side. If Bitcoin showed up, let's say any country that could actually create anonymized currency showed up, everyone would drop their money over there instead of the US and hide their money, right? From taxes, from everything else. You'd suddenly see this big sucking sound out of the US, which is kind of like, the fiat currency. So.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand the fear, and I don't want, there's some of that I don't think I want to see, or you want to see, or anybody wants to see, because it could have, to use one of my favorite words, some seminal ramifications.
Yes.
But at the same time, United Airlines has a currency called its points.
Yes.
And so
not taxable, which is nice.
Right. And in my home country of Canada,
Aeroplan.
What's that?
Aeroplan.
Well, there's Aeroplan, but do you remember Canadian Tire?
Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, Canadian Tire is the first company ever to create its own currency.
Yep.
Right? You would go and you'd spend $10 at Canadian Tire. I remember it as a kid.
You get the stamps.
Well, they called it Canadian Tire money.
Yes.
It looks like monopoly money.
Yep.
And then over time, other fucking companies started taking Canadian Tire money.
Because they're redeemable.
Right. And so, I don't know, you were at a fucking donut shop or whatever. And
Tim Hortons.
And you could pay for your coffee and donut with Canadian Tire money. And so it became a real currency. And so I guess my point is, that we're way into all that now, right?
We are. There are barter networks that are still legal. I think governments are trying to shut all this down. But actually, speaking about Canada, the best cryptocurrency design is actually in Canada at the moment.
Oh, really? What's it called?
They have a cryptocurrency. Basically.
A cryptocurrency.
So it's basically their version of a blockchain. Let me look it up. I cannot remember things anymore. This is horrible. Cryptex.
It's all those airline miles. Cryptex?
Cryptex. So they can issue it, but they're not putting it out. So they have some of the best designs. So
you don't see a world where Bitcoin takes over or Bitcoin becomes...
Let's put it this way. I want to see a world where... Well, here's the thing. I'm a big fan of cash. I'm not a big fan of electronic currencies because I believe that whatever you buy is your own business. And it's like library books, like library cards. Like you shouldn't be tracking folks on what they buy or what they purchase. And cryptocurrencies don't make me feel any safer about that, right? But if there was an entity that could issue currency that I could do transactions on that people couldn't trace what I purchased or what I bought, I'd be okay with that. But I don't like the fact that if we ever get rid of cash, which is what a lot of people want to do, it's more efficient, it's easier, you give away your privacy. I'm probably one of the last privacy rights people left in the Valley. I actually believe that people should be allowed to be disconnected, allowed to be offline without being, hey, you're suspicious, you're doing something nefarious, you're not connected anymore.
How do you get your cash, though? Like, I don't think they'd give you your cash.
What do you mean? You can go to a bank and just take if you take $9,900 out, just leave it in a safe, and just pay everything in cash, you'd be fine. Now, it doesn't mean I don't use credit cards.
But like, I've shared this story before, but I like this story. So when Mercury was acquired by Hewlett Packard, right? Senior executives, if you're lucky, you have this thing called a change in control agreement. And one of the things it says is when you get acquired and the company gets acquired and you get whacked, they give you a giant Scooby snack on the way out.
Always get a change in control for those out there. Yes,
always get a change in control. Double trigger. Ask your lawyer.
Double trigger.
And so, thank you, Jesus. We had that. Anyway, I remember saying to our CEO and CFO, tell the HP guys, I want my CIC in cash.
What year was this? 2005?
2006, I think. Yeah. So
before AML laws, but go ahead.
I just put it in a bag. I want it in cash, and they wouldn't fucking do it. And so it's really hard, to use cash over a certain amount of money. And the other thing too, and this is going to help as the cannabis industry gets more and more legalized, right? If you own a dispensary or a grower or whatever, right, because it's still federally illegal, the whole fucking industry works on cash.
No, they're all cash. They're all cash.
How scary is that, though?
They're all getting held up. Security business is up in Colorado. You're seeing that, and I think that there are limits to cash.
So, how much cash should you have in your house, Ray? What would your recommendation be?
I have no cash in my house. I would leave it in a safe in a bank. You can put it in the bank deposit.
What about for the zombie apocalypse, though? If you can't get to the bank, you don't think having some cash around?
I have gold. Actually, no. Zombie apocalypse. Here's my zombie apocalypse strategy.
Yeah.
Find the biggest Walmart you can and take it over.
That's a great idea.
Or find the biggest. Well, Costco doesn't work. They don't sell guns. Find the biggest Walmart that sells guns and go there.
Oh, right? This is
because
California.
You are armed. Oh, they don't have guns in California, Costco?
Walmart?
I've never been to Walmart, so I don't know.
I don't know.
So, but I've only
been to Walmart once. My sister, Carolyn, who has 3 triplet girls, shops at Walmart, and I get that.
I've never been to Walmart, but if it's got guns,
go there.
Go there, take the Walmart, hold it hostage, and then block every entrance with your people. And you're basically good for a while. You got the food, live at the Walmart, you're done. You got the tents, you got the camping equipment, you got the lanterns, you got the
probably need a lot of friends to fortify.
Yeah, you got to all agree, take over a Walmart. This is your community strategy. We're going to own the Walmart and kick everyone else out.
How many people do you think we need to take over a Walmart?
100. I've looked at this. We did a survival strategy exercise in a retreat. And I'm like, I'm taking the Walmart. I don't care what you guys do. I'm taking on Walmart and I'm going to kick your ass. Because what's going to happen? I got the guns. I got the food. I'm set for it. I got self-powered generators. Everything I need is in the Walmart.
What if you just bought the guns and the food and had it at your house and just were a prepper?
No, I'd get overrun by mobs.
Yeah.
The Walmart. You know how thick the walls are in the Walmart?
But what don't they have glass doors?
I got glass doors. I can put guns right there. I got people.
Okay. Do you have the 100 people? Do you know who the 100 people you're taking are?
I don't right now. I couldn't do it right now. I'm just saying, but that would be the battle strategy.
That's the plan. Okay. Well, I think I like this. We don't have a Walmart nearby, but we have a Target that would probably.
They don't have guns. They don't sell guns. Targets don't sell guns.
Okay, so we got to buy a bunch of guns.
Either I take the Bass Pro nearby or something.
And the other thing too is I have 2 close friends who are former fire chiefs. One very nearby and one not far, and I have another nearby friend who's a special ops cop. Like he's on the we do the gnarly shit squad. So I get that they would be probably the lead guys in taking over and fortifying the
Well,
target.
what I'm really worried about, right? And I just saw this, like you saw the Minneapolis mayor thing that was going on there. You saw
Oh,
what's going on in
so
Berkeley.
horrible.
You saw all these things that are happening, right? And I'm not taking politics out of this, right? I look at the LA riots and I look at Koreatown and I realize the cops are never going to come help you. Like you get a full riot situation, they're all going to run off. And especially in California, they don't understand law and order. And that's the problem, right? And I think about those people in Koreatown, and I'm not Korean, but you see those pictures of owners with the shotguns on the top of their roofs protecting their buildings,
It's
all
crazy.
lined up. That was the only way they're going to keep the rioters out, right?
No, it's crazy.
And if you get rid of guns, you're screwed, right? I don't care what people think about guns. I mean, like you still need a way to protect yourself. You're waiting for the cops to show up 30 seconds later. Okay, maybe 2 minutes later, forget it. You're done.
I had this very eye-opening experience 2, maybe 3 years ago, Ray. The cops put our neighborhood on lockdown, and we live in a very peaceful, sleepy beach town, right? The fucking cops put our neighborhood on lockdown because there's a fucking maniac running around who has a gun, held somebody up on the beach for an iPhone, of all things.
Wow, what's on the iPhone?
Yeah, exactly. Tried to carjack a couple guys. Anyway, the fucking maniac running around with the gun is in my neighbor. And when I say neighbor, I mean house next fuck door.
Oh, wow.
There's the whole neighborhood's on lockdown. There are cops with fucking machine guns at the edge of my driveway. And here was the aha that I had. If that guy had hopped the back fence and come into my house, there's a cop at the end of my driveway with an automatic or semi-automatic, whatever the fuck they carry. He can't protect me. They're right there and they still can't protect you. And by the way, they ended up finding the gun and the iPhone ditched in my next door neighbor's yard. He panicked through the shit and luckily they got him. Nobody was hurt. But it was a very eye-opening thing, to your point, that you could actually have a police officer on the edge of your property with, a very serious weaponry, and they're not in a position to help you if the guy comes in from the other side of your house.
No, they can't. They can't. And I'm not encouraging everyone to go out and buy guns, but I mean, point being is like,
I'm not encouraging anything. I'm just telling you what happened.
I'm just saying people should be able to defend themselves if they want to, right? So, I mean, yeah.
How the fuck do we chase that zebra down that road?
How do we end up here? I don't know. Anyways,
we went from blockchain to gold to guns.
Oh my God, hydroponics.
Exactly, and everything in between. And how do you fortify the Walmart in the case of the zombie apocalypse?
This has been awesome, man. This is awesome.
This is probably as good as any place to kick out, wouldn't you say, Ray?
It would be, and I think we've exceeded the 3-minute mark.
Yes, well, this is definitely longer than the 3 minutes that you said that all video information should be.
Hey, thanks for
Anything
keeping it real,
else?
man. No, man. Thanks for keeping it real. This has been awesome. So,
Ray, you're awesome. You're so fun. I'm really glad to see you, brother. It's great to see you.
Hey, anytime, man. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you here.
And
come by the house. So.
Yes, I will do that. Let's make that happen. And man, you guys have been putting out some unbelievable content lately. So keep it coming, brother.
Hey, thanks a lot.
You're legendary, my friend. Whew, there he is. Ray Wang. Thank you, Ray. Man, so fun to hang out with Ray. If you like this episode, you'll love episode number 5 with none other than Ray Wang. And we hope to have him back again. We would love it if you joined us for One Life Fully Lives event. Lives? One Life Fully Lived, our event in Sacramento, October 21st and 22nd. One Life Fully Lived is the nonprofit helping you dream, plan, and live your best life. Sacramento, California, October 21 and 22. A spectacular agenda. You can check it out at onelifefullylived.org. I will be there. Bix Bixen will be there. Tim Rode, our friend and guest and founder of One Life, will be there, and many other friends and legendary leaders helping us dream, plan, and live our best life. I hope to see you there. We would also love it if you subscribed to Legends and Losers on our website at legendsandlosers.com or iTunes. And you can always send us email. We love to get your emails, blackhole@legendsandlosers.com. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us where you listen to Legends and Losers. Share some losery with us if you like, or request your invitation to the NetSuite Next Ready Business Tour. We would like to thank everybody who is currently helping the hurricane victims in the Caribbean, Florida, and Texas. And if you can, please do what you can to help. We'd also like to thank HarperCollins Instant Classic Play Bigger, how pirates, dreamers, and innovators create and dominate markets. Equity Directory, connecting startups to the talent and resources they need to become a legendary business at equitydirectory.com. NetSuite, #1 in cloud ERP. Come see us, the NetSuite Next Ready Business Tour. Spiro, the sales app for salespeople and sales managers who like to make money. Verve Coffee Roasters, the official coffee of Legends and Losers in Santa Cruz, California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and always on the World Wide Web at vervecoffee.com. Atira Systems, stopping fires while saving firefighters and the environment with strong water technology. The great podcast, Marketing Over Coffee, with John Wall and Christopher Penn. Thanks for having me on, guys. Love the show, Marketing Over Coffee. Check it out. Category Design Advisors, working with leadership teams to dominate new categories. Category Design Advisors. Positive Marketing in the UK. Legendary Marketing and Category Design, Positive Marketing. PursuingResults.com. They produce legendary podcasts. So if you want to start a podcast, PursuingResults.com is for you. Interview Valet. If you're a thought leader, share your leadership on podcasts at interviewvalet.com, and they are my exclusive podcast representation. And of course, the must-read book, Disrupting Digital Business, from today's guest, Ray Wang. And speaking of books, our good friends at 800 CEO Read, an extraordinary company. Check them out and fill your mind with some legendary business books. We must remind you that this oddcast is a sole property of the Legends and Losers Oddcast Network, and we would love it if you shared the shit out of it. All rights do remain disturbed. We must warn you, Legends and Losers does cause binging, so if you're new, you might be filling up. The producers of this oddcast may have been consuming libations. We must warn you that this oddcast is absolutely produced in a studio that does contain nuts and may contain forward-looking statements, backward-looking statements, present moment-looking statements, and completely asinine statements. Listen to Linkin Park. Check out the Ramones. Don't forget, Legends and Losers is never tested on GMOs. Please be nice to your sister. Thank you, Dandy Candy. We love you. Never turn your back on the ocean. Teach girls self-defense. Remember, plastic bags are not children's toys. Support your local industry analyst. Watch out for Putin. And hey, Colin, this oddcast really ties the room together, doesn't it? And our deepest apologies today go out to the former Volkswagen Chief Executive Officer, Martin Winterkorn. Sorry, Martin, we just ran out of time for you. That's it, my friends. We hope to see you again very soon on another episode of Legends and Losers.